Cornish Witch podcast. I'm your host, Freyja, a witch who lives in Cornwall, but who isn't a born and bred Cornish maid. Before we dive into the show, I wanted to let you know about a giveaway that I am doing in collaboration with Emily, who runs Black Cat Books in Launceston. For those of you who follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you might have seen the videos Emily and I have been putting out there. We are running a competition for you to win a free set of tarot cards that I am giving away. Emily has started to sell tarot and astrology cards in her store by popular demand. When you buy a deck of cards from her, you have the option to be entered into a raffle to win a free deck of cards that I'm giving away. There are 3 tarot decks that you can win, so that means there are 3 raffles that you can enter. Emily also sells online, so you can enter that way too. I have linked Emily's website in the show notes, along with the link to our Instagram videos promoting the giveaway. Keep an eye out this Saturday, the 21st of February, as Emily and I will also be announcing an exciting update on the giveaway, and this will be on Instagram and Facebook. All right, so moving on to this episode. In this episode, my guest is Phoenix, a tarot expert whose spiritual journey is as eclectic as it is profound. Phoenix talks about his spiritual journey, shares insights about the intertwining of tarot, personal growth, the unique energies of places like Cornwall and London, and we discuss Chinese astrology and what to expect with this year being the year of the fire horse. Well, Phoenix, welcome to the Cornish Witch podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Very happy to have you here. I do have a cold, so if I'm sniffing, and just to my listeners, if I'm sniffing a lot, I'm really sorry. I can't help it. I'm full of cold.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's gross. Full of it. But how would you like to introduce yourself, actually?
I'll shake your hand if you like.
You don't have to. We've been chatting like 45 minutes already. This was a nice little warm up.
Absolutely.
But I suppose, if people who are listening thinking, oh, who's this guy? Like,
yeah, and rightly so. My background really, I suppose, is like the main spine of everything I do, and like spiritual life, I suppose, is tarot.
Yeah,
so that's really what defines me. But then I think with anything vaguely esoteric, the deeper you go in, the more you start finding connections with everything else. So you then start getting into other divinatory systems, longer path stuff. You look at crystals and potions and herbs and stuff like that. And I think things, and then there may be a wider spiritual awareness that kind of comes with that then it forms part of that.
Quite eclectic.
Yeah, it is. It is. This is partly what we were chatting about earlier, is that I'm kind of a little bit of an outsider. I'm not a druid, I'm not a Wiccan, and very much sort of kind of hedge witchy kind of dude. But that's even that is kind of defining things a little bit much. Probably as we chat, you'll realise how difficult I find structure.
I shall do my best. I shall do my best to guide you back.
Rein me in.
I will try my best. I did have the lovely Megan Fields with me a couple of weeks ago. We were recording her podcast, and she's very ADHD, and she was like, Freyja, we're going to go on a lot of side quests.
Yeah.
And she was like, you've got to bring me back. And I was like, I couldn't. I was just hanging on to her everywhere. And then she's like, Freyja, what was your original question? And I was like, oh yeah, right, okay. So I'll do my best.
Some of my stuff, I've got a parallel thought thing. I'm also neuroatypical as well. It's not ADHD, and it's kind of it's one end of the bell curve. It's the opposite end from where people imagine things are. But it does mean that there's some crossover characteristics. I tend to go circular with stuff. So I'll sound like I'm on a side quest, but I usually try and bring it in at the end, but it might take about 6 hours.
Well, I haven't got 6 hours, but we'll see what we can do with the time that we have. What I would like to quickly talk to you about with regards to the start of your spiritual journey, but also the connections that you have. And I had Rebecca on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, she's fab.
She's so lovely. Absolutely just
just complete fangirl with her to rein it in. But I'm aware that you were her professor many moons ago.
Oh gosh, long time ago. Like, 20 odd years ago. But only with tarot. So she was on my tarot because we did a really long, intense tarot. I was allowed to write it the way I wanted it. So there was a community, a sort of an occult centre where we did it that was very highly regarded. And they just said, okay, how do you want to do this? And I was given free rein, and I said, well, we need time. So I think we had an 11-week course just for the major arcana. And then we did the follow-up course, just another 11 weeks just on minor. So it's 22 weeks of this. And that was the beginner's course. Right. And then we went on and did this whole thing again for intermediate and so on. So it was a very, very intense course. And, and quite a lot of people, including Rebecca, were going through some interesting stuff at the time.
Yeah.
So all of that kind of came out in the course. It was great. But she's now, that was just one aspect of her thing. But she's now like world authority on her specialisms now.
Yeah.
Super, super cool.
Very cool.
I'm just very proud to have played some part
so sweet.
in her early sort of
Was
stuff.
that in London?
Yes.
At the time?
That's in London. I was very much a Bloomsbury boy.
Okay. Right. So we've got like from a vintage London to Cornwall crew down here.
Okay. Were you in London as well?
Well, no, not really. I just have a very, very short stint in London, in my early 20s. I hated London. I'll be honest, I absolutely hated it.
Where were you staying?
Right. I started in Streatham with a friend from the university. I started in
no mystery.
And I was working as a stage manager for a fringe theatre company, just off the back of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2012. So it was like towards the end of 2012. And
2012 was a good year for London.
In the summer, I was up at the Fringe Festival. I tell you what, it was like being an Olympian, because if you've ever been to the Fringe Festival, when you're in a small fringe theatre for that festival and you've got 12 shows in one day, you are fitter than an Olympian, because you're get-ins and get-outs and But after that, off the back of that, in the autumn, I got a job as a stage manager for this fringe theatre company, and I went and stayed with my friend from uni, because we all graduated in 2011, so almost a year on, and so very much sort of like in that post-university space. But I hated it so much. I was so unhappy. I was so miserable. So I started off in Streatham. Hated it. I hated getting the train from London Bridge.
Yeah.
From Streatham to London Bridge and back. I had to walk down. Just the walk to where I was living was awful. I thought the foxes were going to mug me. Like,
you're lucky they didn't.
I know. I hated it so much. But then they got a little bit better, because I ended up moving to West Hampstead, for sort of the sort of last half of when the show was running, which was an absolute blessing. And West Hampstead was so lovely, and I was really looked after. And I was also caught very poorly in London as well. I caught a really, really awful flu virus. And I was just like, when you're so poorly, your teeth hurt. You ever had that sort of that illness? Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I had no money.
No, exactly.
And I just never felt so lonely in such a busy place. I never felt so isolated and lonely, and I couldn't really make friends. I tried. I was very, 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 very anxious. And just
you had the proper London experience.
And yeah, baptism by fire, like full. I was so anxious, full imposter syndrome. It just got to Christmas time when the show had finished. I had made a couple of I had made some, I wouldn't say friends. I'd met some really lovely people, and I was so, so grateful to this lovely lady called Kate, who took me in West Hampstead and let me have her spare room. She was honestly an angel. But I could not wait to get back to the countryside.
That kind of plays a part. You asked about sort of spiritual side of things. It plays a part. People talk about London like it's a place. It's many places over many times. Yeah, I was Streatham. I'm like, no, I totally get why you were. difficult time. I lived pretty much my whole adult life in Bloomsbury, and it's like a little village right in the middle. You're right in the eye of the storm, but everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
You know, all the cafes.
Yeah.
You know, I went up there a couple of weeks ago and popped into a cafe in Russell Square Gardens. The family had been running that cafe since 1981. So they're like, "Hey, Phoenix, how you doing, man?" You know, the whole thing was like, so there's
you
that
had community though. You had your London
and a cult, exactly. So there's a cult going on there.
Yeah,
academia was going on there. You've got all the universities, you've got the hospitals, you've got there's a long weird tradition with Bloomsbury as well because of I was trying to do some research in the British Library about the wells and the waters because this is why there's all the hospitals there, is because of the healing that went on in Bloomsbury, because there was lots of wells and there were and which is why the gin trade, they were during the gin craze, it's because of the water that went on there. So you've got these weird connections that go on, and also because it wasn't very fashionable, it wasn't like, you know, Kensington, Knightsbridge, that sort of area. So you get the Bloomsbury set and people like that there who are artists and stuff, because it wasn't cool back then. It was a crossover place,
right?
And so I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But absolutely, exactly what you were saying. I found my anxiety levels been very high there.
Yeah.
Because of that certain neuro approach. I'm hypervigilant. So you can imagine lots of people, the underground buses, not easy, right?
I was exactly the same. I think as a woman, it was even worse.
It just got to, I know, I can imagine. Yeah, I had an experience with a pretty terrible experience with that. That was my moment of kind of going to the universe. Oh, you want me to leave? It would take something like this to make me leave. I knew I was my health was suffering there.
Yeah.
I'd had some pretty difficult stuff going on, and I thought, no, you know, if I possibly could move out, I would. But it took an absolute shove to make me go, oh, right, like this. Oh, yes, of course, that would make me move out. And so that's what. And I'd been coming down to Cornwall. Cornwall had been my spiritual home.
Yeah.
For, gosh, since the 90s. And just developed. I even came down here to do my driving test. You know, because why would you do it in London? You're just stuck in traffic for half an hour and they go.
I mean, at least you've got the small country lanes around here.
Yeah, I loved it. It was fantastic. So I learned to drive down here, and so yes, I've been coming down here a lot. And then I had I generally work alone and have done all my life in terms of sort of, you know, my practice. But I did have a magical partner down here. She's passed on now, but it's and it, you know, and we were a strange couple. We weren't a couple romantically, which is quite unusual, I think, when you've got people working together magically. We never were a couple, but we were strange.
Like just a soul connection somewhere.
Yeah, and it was just an odd thing that we just got on. And we got on magically as well. We did good stuff. So that fostered my connection here. And then I moved down, and again, partly, so I moved down here 2001. I moved back down here 2001. And I moved away to Central Europe to live for a few years after that, and then came back again. But I made so many friends here in Tintagel that when I was thinking about home, when this latest move back down here came about, I thought, I want that feeling of home. And it's very interesting you talk about imposter syndrome in London. I always felt like I was renting it. You know, I'd look around at the statues and go, this is who London belongs to. You know, it belongs to Wellington and it belongs to Churchill.
It belongs to tourists.
Yeah, I felt like I was just a sort of, you know, leasing it. You know? And so I was like, no, I need to be somewhere that feels like I belong. And I always felt like I belonged in Tintagel, the land, but also the people. I met such good friends there that I realised home is also people.
Absolutely. Oh, completely. I mean, but it sounds like you did have some community in Bloomsbury.
Oh, yeah.
And you can still go back now.
Yeah.
You know, 25 years later, and
they're still there,
which is absolutely lovely. Which is really, really good. I mean, I never had that. I think I left London quite heartbroken. I think I was quite heartbroken when I left London that it didn't work out. But I think hindsight's 2020, and now I'm like, I'm kind of glad it didn't. In a way, Yeah. But it is nice that you still have that community to go back to and that familiarity. I have no tolerance for London now at all.
I find it hard. I just had a really good trip this last couple of weeks, but my God, I almost cried when I picked up good tip for anyone who lives in Cornwall. Getting to London, right?
Yeah.
Oakhampton Station.
Okay. Yeah,
go
not
Devon.
far from Oakhampton.
Because our nearest station here is Bodmin. And it's still about a 50-minute drive for me to get to Bodmin Parkway.
Well, you are, yeah. From here,
it's not
Oakhampton's my nearest station.
Right, okay.
Yeah, 25 minutes.
Exactly. Oakhampton is the one to go to.
Yeah.
Even if Bodmin is your nearest station, it's like you can park and it's cheaper to get in. It's
quite aesthetically pleasing. It's quite nice.
Beautiful station. This was restored by enthusiasts. And I missed my train by about 5 minutes. And so I just went to the shop and got a cup of coffee, and I just talked to some old geezers there who were fantastic. They just hung in a lot because they wanted to be there. Anyway, so it was a great trip, but just going over the Tamar into Devon, I almost cried. I just didn't want to. It's been so long since I've left Cornwall. I felt it. It was visceral. I was like, oh my God, I'm leaving Cornwall. I don't want to go. And yet there was lots of good things I was going up to do. And I had a great time while I was in London. But, it felt like a wrench leaving Cornwall. I'm so, And all the areas, have you noticed how all of the areas are called? If you are vaguely pagan or you have a kind of a sense of the land, how every single small space feels different.
Yeah.
How Tadgel has a different land feel to even Boscastle, which has a different land feel to Launceston. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Last weekend I was at the Cheese Ring and like the Hurlers Stone Circles, and then yesterday I was on Dartmoor, which I know is Devon, but I was near Lidford Gorge, and across from the gorge. I was with my brother and we took the dogs for a walk. And I don't actually know what it's called, but there were two tours. One had a big Christian cross, and then the other one was like all sort of cairns and natural stone formations on the left. And I was like, let's go that one. My brother was like, do you want to go into the cross? I was like, no, mate, no. I want to go to where those natural magical stone formations are. Because it reminded me of the cheese ring and the hurlers. But at the same time, the energy and the atmosphere, completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. Yeah. And it's the same, like you say, you could go to, I have friends who live down in Helston, and it's a completely different vibration compared to going to Trippet Stone Circle on the Moor.
Totally.
Yeah.
Even as the whole of Penwith, I found has a really strong, intense energy to the land. It's not necessarily fun or it's deeper. It feels deeper and darker to me.
I think it depends on how rooted the land is as well.
Really?
I think the earth and the land.
Do you think the mining has had a play in that?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think the amount of people that relied on the mines for their livelihood to keep a roof over their head and food on the table. And then if they were unable to, mine the copper or mine the tin, it was running out, or there wasn't a vein when I thought there was a vein, and the amount of deaths and how dangerous it was and the trauma, the land holds on to that, I think so, yeah, definitely.
I did go to, funnily enough, one of my early trips down here turned into a sort of pilgrimage. Which I didn't really sort of realise that's what it was until afterwards. I just felt this urge to come down here. And I found that, only afterwards, I found that I'd visited all the male sites, all the different standing stones and stone circles and all of that. And the one that I went to, because someone said, you must go to this one, I think it was Boscanoon. And a partner of mine up there said, you've got to go to Boscanoon. And I went there and I was like, yeah, it's amazing. It's very impressive, but I'm not feeling it. And it was the one female site that I went to, and all the others were like,
how interesting.
I know. Well, one of the one that I had the most insane experience at was the Fugu. I don't know if you've been to any of the Fugus. So Fugu, yes, very Cornwall. There's these sort of underground chambers, and they have antechambers off them, right? There's now let me see. Now there's trying to think of the names of them. There's one at Lamorna. I'm trying to think what the actual name of the Fugu is. It's on private land, but you can ask to go visit.
Okay, yeah.
And that was the one that I went to. And the owner of the place was away. And I thought, oh, it's a shame to go. He said, oh, just go anyway. Go and stay in the house. It's unlocked. Just stay there. You'll be on. There's some cereal in the kitchen. Help yourself.
Put the kettle on.
Yeah, exactly.
Take your shoes off.
Yeah, it's comfortable, right? And so I was like, oh, that's very kind. Thank you. So I was the only person there. And I went there and it was a full moon. And
of course it was.
And so I went down and one of the things, and I went onto the land where the fugu is. And if you can imagine, there's a sort of underground chamber that goes back a bit. And there's an antechamber that comes off it.
Okay, yeah.
And I got, even getting to the entrance at night, under the full moon, in these things. Oh, I was really, had this overwhelming fear. And it was just all encompassing. And I thought, okay, well, this is what this is about. I need to go in and walk through my fear and walk into this space and face that and see what this is all about, which I did. And then the day after, I woke up in the morning and 2 other people had come to stay there. Funnily enough, I passed them on the cliffs on the way to get something to eat in Mousel, I think. And you know how you walk past some people and you sort of look back and think, I should have stopped and talked to them. They look really interesting. And anyway, it turned out they were staying at the house.
Oh, okay.
And so we met in the morning. And they went, oh, we came past you. You look really interesting. We thought afterwards we should talk to you. I was like, okay. And they were super interesting people. And there was an English-lady chap from America. And they said, well, look, we're going to go and do this ritual in the fugu.
Right.
I said, well, I kind of did mine last night, but they said, well, would you care to join us again? I was like, well, I would. That would be nice. So there's me thinking that, well, I've done my thing. Went down there, completely different energy. And still some radical stuff happened. There was a lot of shape shifting.
Right.
That was one of those things that happens that's very difficult to describe to somebody afterwards because they go, oh, you must have imagined it. It's like, we did not imagine it.
Well, you're on drugs, like.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, the classic phrase was, the guy left and I was in the fugu with the lady, and we were just she was singing in Celtic,
right,
one of the Celtic languages, which was resonating around the chamber. It was incredible. It changed the whole feel. And then we're just staring at each other, and she just grew a foot, changed gender, changed race. And I was just stood there going, okay, this is happening.
Do you think you might have been in like an altered state, like a meditative state? Because when and I think actually Rebecca and I discussed it on her podcast about when you're scrying or you're doing your divination and you get into an altered state.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. And that helps with all of the stuff. But the classic phrase was I kind of felt like she wanted me to forgive her for something. So I just sort of passed on this forgiveness. We went out, we sat down, and the guy came over. He wanted to talk about his experience, and she's like, shh, go away. And we just sat there. She and I sat inside the room, and then her opening words, she turned to me and said, did I change too? And I was like, oh, right. Okay, fine. So I changed as well to her mind. And she said, I wanted you to forgive me. And I said, yeah, I felt that.
Okay.
So something happened there. Goodness knows what. But absolutely, this has changed state. Also, I think this plays into definitely something. When I was thinking about coming here, I mentioned to you earlier on that when you first said, oh, do you want to come and be on the podcast? I was like, oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be great. And then about 2 days ago, I suddenly went, oh my God. What
is she going to ask me?
Ask me, I'm utterly unprepared for anything. I'm going to be such a rubbish guest. And it was because so much of this is mystery.
Oh God, yeah.
So much of this is like, oh, well, I don't know. Gosh, how on earth would I explain this? So this was, I can't tell you how profound this was at this particular happening that was right at the end of this little pilgrimage that I'd done in Cornwall. And, when you talk about it, you're changing shape, changing state, all this kind of, forgiveness, changing race. It sounds like such woo. Right.
Yeah.
All the woo.
All the woo.
And I'm like, oh gosh, if I say this, I'm going to sound, but there's mystery. I think whenever you enter into anything magical or anything pagan or anything like this, there is, any religion. Surely, if it's worth its salt, there's magic. There's a sense of mystery that is inherent in life that is beautiful and inexplicable. And we just experience it and go, well, that happened. That happened. And, so often, you asked about sort of my practice, quite a lot of the time, I am making it up as I go along.
Aren't we all?
Right?
Aren't we all?
There might be like one of the Sabbats or something like that, or I'll feel moved, or there's something going on in the weather or something. I think, I should go up to Stone Circle, which is that's my homey kind of place, and I'll go up there and think, I should go up there and do something. But I haven't really thought in my head what it is I'm going to go and do, and I'll get there and go, right, let's prepare the circles that we go and do prepare. And it might take ages. I might have to go do a couple of times because I don't feel it's quite settled yet.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, I think we're good. And you step into the circle and you think, right, I don't know what to do now. and you sort of pitch it out. So I generally just pitch it out to the universe and go, okay, what do you want? What do you want me to do? And I'm usually told. And it always, I think, without fail, has been simpler than what I thought I was going to do, or what I thought I should do.
Yeah.
All the shoulds disappear. And there is, so often it's to do with love. And again, it sounds so woo, doesn't it?
I feel like, when you say it sounds so woo, I feel like 10 years ago me would have been, probably 15 years ago me would have been like, what the hell is this guy on? But now, with experience and experiences and getting older, and I think love is such a huge, I think as human beings, when it comes to love, we have torn it apart a little bit, maybe a lot, but the foundation of love and the just it's so powerful. It is so powerful, but it's abused. We abuse love a lot, yet it's still always there.
It's so powerful,
isn't it? It is so powerful,
and in its purest form.
And it's in its purest form.
It is pure. There is this. In my experience, it's not something you have to think about.
No,
it is a connection. So we think of it as an emotion,
or like romance. And I'm not. And I'm not talking about love as in like romance and lovey-dovey. And people go, "Oh, lovey-dovey." Like, no, it's just it's that belonging.
Yes,
it's that being understood. It's being held. It's feeling safe.
I think it's so much about connection.
And connection, absolutely. Yeah.
It's the purest connection. And so when I've been asked to send love into the universe or send love into the sea, and you're thinking, I'm one bloke. I mean, it's going to make no difference at all. There's so much rubbish going on out there. How can this possibly make a difference? And on the few occasions that I've done something like that and had an audience, as it were. So there was one time I went up with my magical partner and we went up to Stannon to do something. And I had this feeling when we were going up there of, I don't know, this time I kind of feel like I need to do it on my own. And I thought, how do I say this? We've just done all this prep and we're going up together. And she got out of the van, we had a great big camper van with all the gear in it,
Yeah.
And she got out of the van and went, I don't know, I kind of feel like you need to do this one on your own. I was like, okay, fine, that's confirmation. And so she sort of kind of held the space outside the circle and I went in to do whatever I was going to do. And it was one of those ones where I was like, it took ages and I was carrying so much gear with me. I felt like a tinker's caravan, cranking my way across to this. And it took ages to set the circle up. And then I got in and it was totally overcast. It was one of those really muggy kind of days up on the moors.
Low cloud.
Right down, almost down to head level.
Mizzle. Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, what do I do? And again, this came up and it was to do with love. I remember that. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. it's just me here, but I'm going to send this out. And there was a chant. It wanted me to do this chant. And again, there's this idea. This is another, we would talk about this idea of being outside of some of the structures, the spiritual structures. So I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Wiccan or something like that. And on this particular occasion, it was like, right, you need to chant the Lotus Sutra. I'm like, okay, that wasn't what I expected to do in a stone circle.
No.
That feels a bit kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, a Christian prayer or something like that. It's
yeah.
Like, okay, feels a little bit cross-denominational. I'll go with it. If that's what you want, I'll do that. And again, there was this sense of, it took, I mean, I'm not kidding. It probably took about an hour to set the circle up on my own.
When you say setting a circle, like casting a circle, what do you do when you're setting a circle? Because a lot of people might listen and go, oh, well, I'm a Wiccan, I cast circles, or I call them
right, exactly.
Yeah, I do a circle of salt sort of thing.
And I think everyone's got their particular kind of denominational way that you do this. And there is like, okay, no, this is how you do it. Again, I'm outside of that. And so it's like, there's an understanding of sacred space.
Yes.
That you're preparing a space to do a thing. Like this.
Yeah.
Here we are, you've got a computer and microphones and stuff. You've prepared the space. And so we know we're going to do something. And because it's so much of this is about that connection with the land and that feeling, we'll know when we've done it.
Okay.
So for me,
by your intuition.
Yes. So I usually do the outside of the circle, especially if we've got a ring of stones.
Yeah.
I'll ask the permission of the stones to be there. I'll talk to each of the stones in the circle and find out if there's anything any of the stones wants me to do or that they're kind of uncomfortable with, and sort of connect with them. Sometimes it's very passive in that way, but there was an occasion I went round sort of like wrapping each of them with the flat of a sword, an actual sword, to wake them the heck up because the land needed some action. And so it's different each time, and you can understand what it is that's required from this particular instance. So at least you've got to go all the way around the stones, but it might not be once. You might need to go around again and just check. Are we all okay? Is everything cool here? Am I okay to enter the stone circle now? Am I, have we created a space? And so, again, it's much more about the feeling rather than a specific kind of dictum, I suppose.
Because I was just about to ask, like, asking permission. It just reminded me that when I was a child, with my siblings when we were all children, if you wanted to go climb a tree, it would be you need to ask the tree's permission first.
Interesting.
You need to but it's like, or if you wanted to go and pick a flower or take something from a tree, you have to ask permission. But I always thought, like, well, how am I going to bloody know if it says yes or no or not? So how do you know if you're talking to these stones and you're checking in and saying, is it okay for me to be here and do what I need to do what I have come here to do? How do you know if they're giving you permission or not?
I really feel it.
You really feel it?
Yeah. That's because on that occasion, I kind of went around the whole circle.
Yeah.
We're not done.
Okay.
It's not ready. I can feel it's not ready. I don't feel comfortable about entering the circle. It's interesting. You must have had much more hippie parents than me. Teaching about asking permission. Very, very white bread. We might come to that.
Quite a feral child.
And then going inside. But here's the thing. On that particular occasion, I did the chanting. I was sending out the love, and there was a moment. It was quite early on. It was about 20 minutes in. I felt like hardly any time at all, where I just knew it was done. And there's part of me thinking, no, but it was taking ages to set this thing up. Surely the actual ritual, if there's the capital R, should kind of carry on. And I was like, I know I'm just going to be doing it to make myself feel like I've done something. It's done. I know it's done. Whatever needed to be done, it's done.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we clear up and we say thank you, and then we sort of go around the circles again. Took about another, 3/4 of an hour just to close the circle, find all the bits of paraphernalia I'd left around, stones and candles and goodness knows what else that lanterns I think we had because it was blowing. And anyway, picked it all up, found everything, and sort of traipsed back to the van. And my friend sort of said, well, that worked, whatever it was that you did. I was like, I don't know, did it? I don't know. I didn't really feel it. I did the thing. It felt like I kind of go. And she said, well, there was all the wild horses. It's like, what?
Yeah, you're not in it. You're not seeing.
And I was like, well, real ones? I mean, phantom ones? What are we talking about here? She says, well, I don't know. I could see them. And I was like, I didn't see anything. But there was this sense of an observational point. It goes, well, something happened. Something happened that you wouldn't really expect, side effect of something. But I want to say that quite often we feel like, well, what can I do? Or I'm just doing this thing. Did it work? I don't know. And I think we can never know. We can never know what it is that we're doing. I think every little thing that we do is helping. Has observed side effects and stuff from it. I thought, oh, okay, well, because I didn't think that. Gosh, that didn't feel very powerful to me. I didn't know what I was doing, but something must have happened.
Yeah.
So I think, I just really want to encourage people, just do it.
It's interesting the way you're describing it, because you said that, when you got into the circle and you were doing it, the ritual only lasted 20 minutes and then you had to close the circle and pick everything up. But as I'm hearing you talk, I said, it sounds like the whole thing is a ritual in 3 acts.
Yeah, right.
You've got your casting, and that's act 1. It's just part of the ritual. And you've got, act 2, which is doing what you need to do in the circle. And then you have act 3, closing that ceremony of closing up that sacred space, doing it safely. That to me all sounds like ritual. And you just have 3 acts to do it in. And then when you're in the middle of it, you go with that flow and you're so immersed in it. I think if you were trying to be in let's say it's called act 2, if you were in act 2, if you were doing what you needed to do in act 2, but at the same time, consciously trying to observe what is happening and what's going on, nothing would ever happen, because you need to be in that state, as with that altered state, right? That trance state of just flow. And then people who are on the outside, who are there to support, are then going to see what's happening.
I think that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I think that's right. And I think that act 1 is the prep.
But it's still ritual.
It is still ritual.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ritual. Yeah. Even if it doesn't have a script.
No.
It's still ritual.
Yeah.
And I think that preparation clears the way for whatever it is that you're going to do in act 2. That's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah. That's how, I know. That's how I sort of, just where you were describing it. And when you said, I was only did the ritual for 20 minutes, I'm like, I just thought, sounds like I've been doing it since you got out of the van.
It was a short act. Yeah. We had chalk ices at the interval. Yeah. It was a very short second act. Everyone only did the loo. Yeah. It was, yeah. So, yes. And I think, wonder whether, you asked me about sort of the especially earlier on, we were talking about the beginnings of my path.
Yes.
And I think that ties into some of this, because it was very interesting hearing Rebecca Beattie talking about the history of Wicca, how it's come about, and the recent history.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm older than her. And when I was finding myself spiritually, we didn't have access to the extraordinary resources that people have now.
At our fingertips.
Right.
Our computers in our back pockets.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's amazing. I think to myself, what would we have been like if we'd had that when we were growing up? But what we did have that you don't have now is not knowing. Is mystery.
Yeah.
And having to make stuff up, having to find your individual connection with stuff that might not fit what's in the books. It might not fit what anybody else does. And there was a kind of crossover. I mean, there's 2 parts to my spiritual story, I suppose. It's the wider sense of connection and belief. So I grew up in a small village on the south coast. I won't name it, shame it. But it was very good. I'm mixed race for a start. It was very white, and it was very Anglican, and it was very straight. Okay. So if you were a bit spiritual, that meant you believed in God. And if you believed in God, you were a Christian. Go to church. My mum was a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the loveliest and truest Christians I've ever known. I mean, she was wonderful, absolute saint, beautiful. And it was all about love, very much followed the Jesus teachings rather than necessarily. She wasn't an academic. She didn't really sort of get a lot of the sort of church stuff, but very much had her faith. And she, her duty as a Christian was to raise my sister and I as Christians. She saw that as a real sort of a part of motherhood, her responsibility. And my sister very early rebelled against that. And I had this sense of spiritual connection to something, a greater something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it God for the moment. And I also just didn't want her to feel like she failed. So I went to church to make sure that she felt that at least, it was okay. She'd managed something. But gradually, as I spent time there, I realized that the way I saw God, in inverted commas, was not really how everyone else around me was seeing.
Yeah.
And it became clear at certain times when saying the creed, okay, which I was, we'd have to read from what, but we knew it off by heart. So the creed expresses the structure of your belief as a Christian. Right. It says, right, this is what we believe. I get about halfway through and go, I'm not sure I do believe this.
Mm-hmm.
I had a real moment. There are these moments, I think, in life where you kind of go, oh, okay. And I remember being halfway through and going, but I don't believe that the way that I see God, or the great big whatever it is, I think Jesus is one way to find your way to him, but I don't believe it's the only way. So I'm not sure I do believe that this is the only way to God is through Jesus. Okay. And then I would start talking there was a youth group there that was very charismatic. You have to imagine, like, it was talking speaking in tongues. There was healings. There was all kinds of, proper stuff going, magical stuff going on. It's like, no, but we're Christians. And so it was in that spirit that we would talk about how we felt about God. And I talk about stuff. And I remember after a service talking to one of my youth group friends, but at one of the adult services. And there was one of the elders of the church was putting stuff away, and I was talking about how, I saw God in the sea and and the flowers, and how it was talking to me and everything. And it was like someone dropped an ice cube down this guy's neck, and he sort of turned around and it straightened up and said, "Is that strictly scriptural?" And I thought, "Oh gosh, I've said something here." And gradually I realized that more and more as I talked about stuff, I thought, it's not scriptural. I am seeing this is not. Doesn't fit this. But even when we went to school and we did religious studies at school, religious education they called it, and we'd learn about Buddhism, we'd learn about Jainism, we'd learn about Shinto, we'd learn about all these kinds of these things. But it felt like something that other people did. So
you're not fitting into their square box.
Not fitting into the square box.
Yeah.
And they've got a particular thing. So yes, so doing religious education. So there was all these different religions we'd learn about.
Yeah.
But it felt like something other people did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was like someone in Japan might do Shinto.
Yeah.
Someone in India or, I don't know, China might do Buddhism. But it wasn't something that happened in my village.
No.
There were no Buddhists. They were witches, or we didn't know they were witches. Oh, actually, that was more the next village along. There was a coven in the next village.
Love it.
For early. Yeah, this is so it's 1970s, right? But we didn't know until later. But there were it was very sort of controlled. So I felt myself being an outsider. And so I just went to do my own thing. And it was odd references. So Lord of the Rings was a bit of a kind of a Bible for me. There was something about the connection to the land that spoke to me. So, I made myself a little green cloak. And I'd go up on the South Downs at dawn and sit in trees and watch the sunrise. And I think that's all we had. And anyway, I think where it's... Oh, and then tarot happened. Okay. So tarot was the big thing, right?
So how did tarot come into your life?
Like a bomb.
Oh.
Like a bomb.
Not with a tower card, I hope.
It pretty much was. It pretty much was Death reading the first reading,
Okay.
and then Tarot for me. Sometimes people talk about having initiations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I got Tarot. It decided I was going to do Tarot.
You're having no choice.
I had no choice.
Yeah.
And
one of us.
It was an initiation. And sometimes people talk about going on these little weekends and having initiations and stuff. And that the petulant part of me kind of wants to go, did you think you were going to die? Were you in fear of your life? And they go, no, it was handled very well. So, what's an initiation then? There's something about initiation that is meant to feel life-threatening.
Is it? Should it? I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I know.
I like
that's
that. Really well with me. Sorry.
All about it. Yeah. But it's only because I'm bitter because mine was.
I'm sorry about that experience.
Terrible. It was terrible. Should have. Well, so this was the thing, right? So let me show you a couple of things I brought a couple.
Yes, I know you brought a couple of things.
Because I wanted to say, because I did so much of my spiritual path has not come about because of spirituality. Right. So I got into tarot. I was into cards, I was into playing cards. I've got some Beatles, Yellow Submarine playing cards.
They're nice,
fantastic. Yeah. Some Harry Potter. So yes, so I was into cards and into top trumps. I just, from an early age, I loved playing cards and postcards. I've got the most ridiculous number of postcards that I keep buying, thinking I'm going to send them to people, and then I never do because I can't bear to part with them. So yes, I got into cards, and so there was this moment where we went, oh, apparently there's these cards that tell the future. And I'm going, oh, I've got to get some of those, right?
How old were you around this time?
Oh, gosh. I was at school still. I think 15, I think, something like that. And so we're talking late 70s.
Yeah.
Before 80s. So I'm like, yeah, we've got to get some. So my question to you is, right, you live in a village. Where are you going to go to get those cards? The internet hasn't been born yet. There's nothing like that. Where are you going to go?
Post office. I mean, there's not going to be anything in the post office, but I would ask my mum's friends if they know of any aunties or
because your mum's a hippie, right?
My mum's a hippie.
My mum's a very white bread Christian, or was.
Yeah. So to be fair, my dad had tarot cards, so I would have asked my dad.
Right, exactly.
Right. So I had those links already. You didn't.
No.
Where do you go in the 70s? Where do you go?
So we went to the sports and games shop in the nearby town.
Okay.
So the town had I don't know, about 150,000 people in it, right? And so that's our nearest big town. So we go there. There's a sports and games shop.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got some cards. They sell cards. So we go up to, have you got these tarot cards? And she's like, there's some cards over here. This is where we put the cards. I'm going, yeah, we looked at those. We couldn't see any. And so she pulls open this drawer where some of them are stored, and we're just rifling through. Right at the back of the drawer, there's one pack of 1JJ Swiss, okay, which are very sort of a little bit kind of Marseille-ish kind of cards.
Right.
So basically you've got major arcana, but all of the pip cards are pip cards. So like the 10 of swords has 10 swords on it. The 3 of wands has 3 wands on it. So you've got nothing to indicate. It's not like the Waite Smith pack where you've got pictures on the minor arcana. So this is a really basic pack.
Right, okay, because I was just thinking of the Waite Smith, and it does have 10 swords. You have to count them and find out where they all are. But you're just thinking of it's just a normal. They're just that's it. That's it.
Yes, like on playing cards. On playing cards.
Yeah.
10 of diamonds has got 10 diamonds.
Yeah. Okay. With a white background, and that's it.
Got it.
Right. Okay.
So this is it. This is the one pack in our entire town at the back of the drawer in the sports and game shop. So we picked up. It was £4.50. We were like, how much?
Daylight robbery.
So I went halvesies with my friend. So we paid £2.25 each. And we took them back to my place, and we went, let's have a go. Took cups of tea out and where to go. And, there's no book. Well, there's a little
tiny guide book.
Yes, exactly.
The tiniest print.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all that's in there, right? And so my friend had to go first of all. We put the cards down, and we lay them out in the way that they suggest. And then he's sort of looking. Well, I don't know. This one says it means betrayal and plums, and and trips to Nigeria or something. He said, I don't get it. I don't get it. How does this work? Go on, you have a go. You have a go. So I picked it up and I put them down, and I suspect this is where already that sort of spiritual leanings came in, and already my neuro, going on. And I just looked at it and I saw narrative. I saw connections between stuff. And goodness knows what, we must have used the whole pack. We weren't just using the majors. Goodness knows why I knew what was going on with the pip cards. But then sidebar parenthesis, I have done readings with blank cards before now. So, which is a thing. So you'll get the feeling from the card. If you just put the card down, you'll know what it's meant to be. So that's the thing. Anyway, so I just went, well, I think this is about an old lady, and I think she's been a bit ill. She's been getting better, but I think she's suddenly going to get worse and die. And my Meg's flicking through this little book, going, "Well, where are you getting this from?" I go, "I don't know. I just what it looks like to me." And then I remember saying, "Oh, I don't like this," and I skipped them up. And as I skipped them up, the phone rang in the hall. We hadn't had a phone for very long, again, being really old. But people said, "Are you on the phone?" And do you possess a phone at home? Right. So we just got this phone, and it was specifically for if my mum needed to hear about things.
Right.
So it was slightly ominous that the phone rings as I scooped these up.
Yeah.
Mum took the call and then came in and went, "Oh, Auntie Marjorie's been taken ill again. We thought she was getting better, but she's suddenly got worse."
What?
And we're like, "Oh, no. And I remember so we didn't say anything. I just watched his hair stand up on end, and she sort of left to go and make more tea, because obviously that's what you do. And I just said to him, "I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Could you take them away with you?"
But that's scary. You're
super scary.
You're like probably between 14 and 15.
Something like that.
That's very scary.
It was, because it was weird. How he couldn't read them. I read them straight off. Literally first reading.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's what's happening. And then something comes in that looks like it's coming true. And it did come true. But it looked like it was coming true, right? Literally from the moment I picked up the card. So I was like, "Take them away with you. I don't want them. Take them away. I don't like this." And so we chatted more. We talked about stuff that 15-year-old boys talk about. It wasn't girls, trust me. It was more, aeroplanes.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. But off he went into the mist. There was a big foggy night. It was all the way down. The sea fog had come in.
Oh, yeah.
Disappeared into the fog. I realised after he'd gone that he left the cards here. I think he must have a bit freaked out. But also forgetful. Which it wasn't. It's like off we went. So they remained here, and I thought, oh, I'll just give them to him tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I went in I took them in with me. I had to give them to my mate and go, "Take these the hell away," right? And this is where it gets weird, because we think about our past, and I was trying to think about how I might even explain any of this to you, but there's sometimes to make some kind of narrative of our lives where things seem quite random, really, when you think about it. We have a kind of
random or synchronistic.
Well, random in the sense that things don't necessarily connect, but we'll make a connection between them to make a narrative and to kind of go, this is meaningful. This is how things went. My recollection is that I went to school and everybody knew. He got there before me and said, he finished with this weird thing, like we've got these cards, and but everyone knew. 1,200 people in school, but definitely, all of our, there was a fair few people who knew. And then suddenly everybody knew that I did this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so constantly, so again, I'm thinking, yeah, but am I misremembering this? Was there a gap where I had nothing to do with any of this? And then it all sort of came back. But I think what happened was everybody knew, and then it was a thing. And then everyone was wanting me to show. And so I ended up doing this from an early age, which is probably why. And then it became so again, goodness knows how I went from that to this being, these are my friends, but it evolved through me doing readings for people.
Mm-hmm.
And all those early readings were with that one JJ Swiss.
Do you still have that?
I've got it somewhere.
Oh, how lovely.
I've got it somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's in storage at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some shelves to be built. But I think, so then I managed to get some, and again, there were no shops where you could find it. I genuinely can't remember why that happened or how, but it did.
Talking of divination and moving away from tarot, because I know that you are well versed in Chinese astrology. or versed with the Chinese?
Versed, yes. I would
so
say
you
that.
are versed with Chinese astrology.
Yeah.
And we are at the end of the year of the snake.
We are.
And on the 17th of February, Chinese New Year begins, and it's the year of the horse. I'm also hearing it's the year of a fire horse.
You are correct in that.
So I am not very well versed or versed at all with Chinese astrology. All I know is that I'm a snake.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rest of my siblings are, apart from one of my brothers is a monkey, which makes perfect sense because he's a complete monkey. As in, like, he's very cheeky and jovial and naughty. But apart from that, I don't know anything else about Chinese astrology, the Chinese zodiac, and I just find it very fascinating. If you could talk about what the end of this year means with shedding and transforming, but also what is a fire horse? We've got the horse, but now people are going, oh, we've got the fire horse coming in. I'm like, is this a good thing? Feels like it might be a good thing.
Is it a good thing? It's what a question. Is it a good thing? It's always a good thing when another year comes in.
Yes.
We're still here.
Yes.
Fantastic. I loved your description of the shedding at the end of the year. That's fab. That's great. No, that's true. This is what happens at the end. There's a lot of getting rid of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
At the end. I mean, just looking at the news at the moment, you see people like, it's all just coming out. People are getting rid of stuff. All that kind of. So the reason I say I'm versed rather than well versed is I don't know many Westerners who are well versed.
Right.
Right. There's so much more than the zodiac. So, for example, you've got the 12, what's called the 12 earthly branches. And so those are your snake, your dragon, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Then you've got the 10 heavenly stems.
Oh, I see. I didn't even know about this.
Well, this is when your fire horse comes in.
Okay.
So what you've got is there's a 10-year cycle that goes around. So it's actually quite, it's not that hard to calculate some of these things. I sometimes sound like I know more than I do because it's easier than you think, right? But you've got a kind of almost like 5 element. They're not truly elements, but we'd think of them as elements. You've got metal, water, wood, fire, earth. So you've got the 5 going on there, and that's the order that they go in. And each one, the first of the years is a yang, and the second is a yin.
Yeah,
I think it's that way around, isn't it? Yes. So you've got 10 essentially things that are going on, right? So if we've got a horse year coming up now. What are we? What year are we now? 2020?
2026.
Right.
Yeah.
So 2026, which is a horse year, and because it falls around the 6th or the 7th year in a decade, that makes it fire. Okay, so we've got a yang fire horse, and the horse, the earthly branch of horse, is already a fire sign. So you've got like fire.
Double fire.
Yeah. You've got yang double fire going on, right? So it's fire. And if you think about fire, it's not something you go on. Sit back and
I'll just burn a little bit.
Yeah. it's dynamic. It's bright, and it's mobile. It moves quickly.
Fire is also a living, breathing element.
Yeah.
You have to keep breathing life into it to keep it going.
Yes, right. Yeah. Exactly. So burnout's a thing. So what you've got is a lot of movement. So back to why this is just versed is because you've then got the Chinese astrology. Real Chinese astrology goes beyond this. You've got it's sort of lunar, sort of solar, sort of sidereal, sort of polar.
Okay.
And you've got the polar things. You've got the everything revolves around the North Star, but the bit around the North Star belongs to the Emperor. So that's the secret bit. Secret purple bit, that's the emperors, and then the bit around that with the constellations belongs to the people who kind of run the country, a lot of the sort of civil servants, and then the bit around that belongs to everybody else, and sort of whatever. So you've got that then going on. Then you've got your palaces, I suppose they call them. This sort of, what is it? The 28 palaces going along, which is to do with the passage of the moon that goes through things. So if you were going to look at the year, you go, okay, the year has kind of attributes to it as a fire horse, which we'll come to in a second. And then you have, as a snake, you've got your interaction going on with that. But you've also got your moon sign, and you've also got your kind of secret animal sign, which is kind of the sort of chunk of time of the day that you were born at. And then we've got our palaces going through. So on particular days within particular months, there will be particular attributes going on with that. And that's even just scratching the surface. There's so much.
That's incredibly layered.
Yeah, it's so layered because it's been going for 2,500 years.
Mm.
The Han, well, in fact, the Han dynasty is where we get, which is sort of like a couple of hundred years BCE, I suppose, is where we get the 12 zodiac signs. But the palaces, the sort of the 28 lunar things that go on, and they're not even lunar as we're observing them. They're lunar against the stars. It's really, really complicated. Mm-hmm. Those were there, I think, several hundred years even before that. I think there's about 2,500 years they've been going.
You talk about evolution. It sounds like it's just completely evolved and evolved and evolved.
It so has, and it became part of the whole way that the state managed everything. So the state was bound up in this idea of how of the calendars and telling people what to do, when to do it. That was the job of the emperor and the state. And so it's very much part of that. And we could even get into when the Christian Jesuits went to China and took mind-blowing stuff with them, like telescopes and stuff like that, and changed it again, and they incorporated a lot of the Western understandings of astronomy into that as well. But it kind of didn't come back that way. It's only really the 1960s that the West has kind of got onto this. But yes, it's had about 2,000 years to get complicated, and it is really complicated and incredible. So when I say I know a little bit about it, I know a little bit.
Okay.
However, I do find it useful to work with tarot with it as well, because as I mentioned earlier, different kinds of people born in different years will react differently with certain situations and the tarot. And there's also a crossover with the Saturn return. I think you mentioned Saturn return.
Oh, no, Saturn return.
You know Saturn return.
You see my face just drop like, oh, Saturn.
I'm so
Get out.
sorry. Snakes have the worst time with Saturn.
It was horrendous.
Yeah. It lasts forever with snakes as well.
Great. So fun. So fun. That was unintentional.
And whereas dragons, quite often it's kaboom, it's done. And usually on the day, boom, that's it. So some of them start it earlier. So I've noticed that in terms of the way. So that's why I got more interested in it. And then I ended up doing a lot of writing about it for a publisher about 25 years ago, which really took me deeper into it. So, yes. So the fire horse has a bit of a reputation.
Okay.
Right. There is, again, where do I start with this? There is a terrible reputation with the fire horse where it's a terrible year and girls are killed, if they have girl children in China, most of which is rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay. However, there is a kind of I don't know what you call it, a cultural discomfort with it, because if you think about the role that girls would have in China, I don't go back hundreds of years, China, Japan, Vietnam, all of these areas, they're meant to fit in, be subservient, sort of do their husband's bidding. It's very much traditional kind of roles for women. Fire horses tend not to do that. Fire horses tend to be rebellious and right. So in our current culture, it's cool, right? Because it's innovative. They're go-getters. They are, they don't take things lying down. There's that fire and courage. There's a lot of courage involved, and they will stand up against things. They want things to be in the open, not sort of,
hidden.
Yeah, right. So now, yes. So the only reason we have this reputation is because in 1966 in Japan, the birth rate dropped by 25% because everyone was worried about having a girl. So that was, So this is, right. Because
if anyone can see my face right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, they were very wise. So there wasn't, there was this, we put this idea that it was infanticide. There's not really any evidence for this at all. But it did have a cultural impact. It had an impact on the birth rate. The last time there was a fire horse year, which is 1966. Here we are again. Here it comes. So now we'll be in a very different cultural territory. We're going to have some Ra women being born. Everyone's going to be into it. Yes, fantastic. But the year itself has that kind of rebellious, fiery, also courageous, also bringing light into dark places. So you look at the news, look at what's going on, all kinds of stuff, right? So more of that this coming year. There's going to be no truck with hidden stuff.
Because people have been saying online, I try to avoid the reels, but sometimes, they just capture you, don't they? But people have been going, 2026 is going to be another 2016. And they're like, it's going to be a dumpster fire of a year. And I'm like, it's really, come on.
It's quite a negative way.
Quite a negative way of looking at things.
I think what we can say is if you thought 2025 moved quickly, 2026 already has left us breathless, and it's going to continue to do so. It's going to changes all the time, changes. And whenever there's restriction or constriction, horses will kick it down. If they see a fence, they'll kick it down. So if people start to put up barriers to understanding something that's going on, they'll kick it down. There's going to be a lot of truth is going to come out in this year. Okay. But
now, is that globally or with people personally or both? Both. Okay.
However, when we come down to the personal, again, so obviously I'm just talking in great big sort of arcs.
Yeah.
But personally, every single person is going to react differently with the sort of the general feel of the year,
depending on their astrology sign,
depending on their zodiac sign, and their secret animal sign, and their moon sign, and what day of the month it is, and all that kind of thing. So that's also going to have a big bearing on how people interact with that. Some are going to find it easier. Snakes, maybe not so. Because again, I'm going to generalize here.
Yeah.
So snakes tend to strategize. They tend to sort of think carefully before they make any kind of decision about something because they don't want to get it wrong, get something right. Horse here doesn't give you time to do that. The horse is just changing.
Yeah.
And as fast as you kind of go, oh, right, okay, so now I'm going, oh, wait, you've done that? Oh, now I've got to replan everything again. So it's a little difficult.
Okay.
However, snakes are pretty grounded and got no legs. Right? So,
have to be.
So you've really got, there's a sense of groundingness and a sense of, in a way that, again, the horse doesn't have. So and you think someone born in the fire horse year, or in any horse year, they're going to be like, oh, this is my year, this is fantastic. But it doesn't follow. Quite often your own year, as you know from snake years, can be quite difficult. So because they're not grounded. They do need boundaries. They don't want boundaries, and the year's got no boundaries. And suddenly they're going, "Oh, great, I can do stuff." But they might burn out. They might be this impulsiveness is going to be a thing this year. Again, it encourages impulsiveness. So people born in the snake year tend not to be impulsive, and so you won't get caught out by it. You might not get that much done because the goalposts keep moving, but you're not going to fall into the trap of just going, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then you go, right, straight away afterwards. There's going to be a lot of this year where people just do stuff because it looks good and they're feeling confident. And a lot of the fire signs are going to find this. They're going to feel like, oh great, everything's moving as fast as I want it to move, and then they do stuff and then go,
It's really interesting because I'm quite looking forward to this year. And I have heard people say a lot of changes are going to be coming in and there's going to be a lot of like unexpected things happening. And, I've heard some people, talk about it in quite a pessimistic kind of way. And I've just been sat here going, well, 2025 wasn't so bad. It was an okay year. 2024 was a shit show. 2025 was okay. 2026, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what it brings.
I was looking at it from a personal point of view and a global point of view. And I thought globally, this is really going to turf some stuff up. Stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what I feel personally. I think globally we need a big shake-up.
Sure. And I think we'll get one.
Yeah.
I think
I hope for the greater good.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it could go not just in either way, but I think it's going to go in several ways all at once, because that's life. It's multi-threaded, not binary. But so there will be great things coming up this year and bad things. We know that what year has been fantastically great and what year has been fantastically bad. There's always been good stuff and bad stuff.
But you have to have that balance. It has to be an equilibrium, hasn't there? You can't. It can't all be good.
No, exactly. And I think the equilibrium, is going to be short supply this coming year. I think you're just going to be watching good stuff and bad stuff happening all at the same time and in every which way, and then changing again and again and again. And I had to look at some of the key players kind of globally, some of them, and looking at their birth signs and their moon signs. And they're all, I think all of them are kind of aspected in some quite strong way with this coming year. So, the Donald Trumps and Keir Starmers and Mark Carneys and Emmanuel Macron's and looking at all of it, and Farage and all of these people. I was looking at it going, not one of them isn't affected by this. All of them are affected by this year in quite a personal way. So this will be really, again, globally, it's be really interesting to see how this plays out, because none of them get an easy ride with it.
So what's the secret animal sign?
Okay, so that's more about the way that the 24-hour clock is divided up.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's done in chunks, and again, you've got your kind of your yin-yang bit within it. And you've got 12 signs of the zodiac, so again, we're back to our animals again. And let me see if I can get this. I'll try and get this as right as I can. Because you imagine it's going to start at midnight.
Yes.
But my recollection is, again, it's been a while since I've written about this, that it starts at 11 p.m.
Okay.
And crosses over to 1 a.m. So that first top of the middle of the night is the hour of the rat. But 11 to 12 would be, is it yin first or yang first? But so you've got the two different parts. So you've got like a yin rat and a yang rat hour. But the chunk there is all rat. So 11 to 1 is rat. And then 1 to 3 would be ox. And then 3 to 5 tiger, and so on, all the way around. So you can look at, if you know the hour of your birth, that gives you your secret animal. The secret animal is kind of like the one on your shoulder, giving you extra help.
So I was born at around 18 minutes past 4 in the afternoon.
Okay. I'll do the maths.
So I'm going to test you now.
God, no, I'd have to. Okay. Come on, make it. So hang on. So we've gone all the way around once.
Yeah.
Which I think brings us back to the horse. I think is halfway. Is it halfway through? Okay. Rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon. I've put my cup down. Need more fingers. Okay. So snake will bring us back round to midday, won't it? Then we've got rooster, monkey. Is it? Would you be about monkey, or you might? Do you know what? I'd have to get a
dragon. Prison dragon.
Oh, did I miss dragon out? No, dragon's earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've got rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon. Dragon's here, and you got snake. And I would get confused between rooster and monkey, in which way rooster's first, monkey's next. I think you're either would you be a monkey? I think probably rooster or monkey, somewhere about there. I would have to work it out. Does it start at midday? Oh my goodness. I have totally forgotten if it even starts at midnight or midday.
Wait, did you even say horse when you were counting your fingers? I can't remember.
No.
You didn't say horse.
I didn't say
no.
horse. See, I've blanked her out. I'm so worried about this year. I've blanked her out completely. Oh Lord, that's telling, isn't it? Yes, indeed. So, no, I'll work it out for you and see what's.
That's just very interesting.
It's kind of nice because you've got your moon sign as well. See, that's the other thing, because there are some really good books on this. Can I recommend a book?
Please recommend some books. Yes,
two books
yes,
I would definitely recommend.
Yes.
So for the kind of, because I had to read them all when I was writing all of this about 20 years ago, and did a lot, went into a lot of detail about it. But I read everybody else's stuff, and I kept coming back to Theodora Lau.
Theodora Lau, yeah.
L-A-U. And she wrote a book. Oh, it's ages old now, but I kept going, this seems to be coming true all the time. And it's over time where I've worked with it within tarot and stuff. Experientially, I'm like, yeah, she nailed it with that book. That's really, really cool. But if you want to get deeper, if you want to really see the grungy stuff, Derek Waters. Okay, I think he's passed away now. I think he died back about 2023, somewhere about there.
Okay,
but he was based in England, and he was the guy. He wrote the only thing I've seen in English about the mansions or palaces that go with the lunar cycle. He wrote about the tropical-ish kind of stuff around the North Star. He wrote, he's the guy that covered all that stuff. It's not the easiest book to read. But you start to, it's the only book in English that I've seen that even covers it. I think he moved out to Europe after a while, and now I think he's gone. But I think he wrote two books, but one of them, I think it's like the complete book of Chinese astrology or something like that. But it's proper astrology, not just the zodiacs.
Okay,
those two.
Yeah,
I would say. I love this idea that so much of what we do now with our belief structure, and so much of what happens with any kind of divinatory system is cultural.
Yes.
It's our culture. It's not even Chinese culture. It's not even sort of modern Chinese. When we talk about those Chinese astrology, we're all looking at divinatory systems differently and what they do and what they're for and all of this kind of thing. It's wrapped up in who we are, and that's why it evolves.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
As our culture evolves, this is what our idea of what we want from it evolves. I think I find that exciting.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Where were we? Before I totally took you off track.
So I think some perhaps final thoughts. Final thoughts for, I suppose, or some general advice or things that we can do for the year of the horse, the fire horse.
Be grounded.
Okay. Well, I've already got that.
You've got that. Yeah. Right. You've got this. But if you're a fire sign, or if you're, or if you're born in the year of the horse, think of any others, maybe the tiger as well. Some of the more sort of like, let's go kind of signs, dragons, definitely.
Yeah.
Remember to be grounded. There's a lot of progress you can make.
Yeah.
This could be your year for making real progress and making courageous decisions, but be grounded and have boundaries.
Yeah.
Because the fire horse doesn't like boundaries and it doesn't want to stop, and that fire will consume you and burn you out if you do not take care of your health, take care of your pacing, take care of your boundaries.
Yeah.
But within that, if you do that, my goodness, it's a year where you could make a lot of progress. And and really some bright changes in life. I think being true to yourself.
Yeah. So stay grounded, boundaried, be true to yourself.
Plan ahead, because this is it. In the spontaneity of the horse is fantastic. So again, there's lots of opportunities for spontaneity, but if you plan. And this is where snakes could do it. It's going to be quicker than you're going to want it to be. It's going to keep changing. But if you can plan, if you can strategize, you can make the best use of what you do put the energy in.
Okay.
But otherwise, what will happen is, it does encourage people to just sort of like make it up as they go along all the time, and then suddenly find themselves where they weren't meaning to be.
What's your Chinese astrology sign?
I'm a dragon.
You're a dragon.
But I'm what's known as the reluctant dragon.
The reluctant dragon.
Yeah, I'm a wood dragon. And so, that's the other thing, right? We talk about all of these different signs, but all of them have a really there are positive attributes
Mhm.
of each sign. And when you read the books, they'll big it up because you're reading it and you're wanting to know about you. So it's going to go, no, you're lovely. You're really lovely. Everything about you is lovely. But all of the signs have a negative.
But that's like I feel like that's with anything. I think with Western astrology as well, you know,
Exactly.
the Pisces can be very intuitive and very intuitive and very healing and very, you know, dreamy, but also pulled in two different directions, can struggle to make a decision, can, you know, just disassociate very quickly if they don't like a situation and be a bit bloody sensitive.
Right. And if you've ever gone out with a Cancerian, let me tell you. You don't know where you are. It's all about how I feel today. So yes. So all of this, that's absolutely true of all of the Chinese signs as well. And so, yes, dragons can be, especially if you've got like a fire dragon or a metal dragon. The metal element tends to mean that people have a vision of what they want to do, and it's like having a sword. They will hack their way through.
Just tunnel vision, that's all you can focus
on. Even horses. My goodness. I had a
partner
who was a metal horse and a father who was a metal horse. And let me tell you, they had things in common.
Goodness.
Oh my goodness, yes. This is what I'm going to do, and everything else can get chopped aside with that metal. So yes, metal dragons, fire dragons can be a bit overwhelming, a bit overbearing. They're full of themselves and they're kind of like, it's all about me.
Sounds like a Leo.
A little bit, yes, it is a little bit Leo. And, but then, the Chinese...
Sorry, Leos, you're lovely. My rising sign is Leo.
You're very straightforward and we love you. The Chinese have a saying about the wood dragon. It's kind of the reluctant dragon. It's just kind of very much more about it, because wood is about the connections. It's about people and finding the way. They're usually good with networking and stuff like that. And so there's a little bit more self-awareness. We're still dragons. We still want to do the big thing because your mum's a wood dragon as well.
Oh yes.
So there's still that kind of like that don't you think I'm amazing kind of thing about us. But there is a little bit more self-awareness. There's a little bit more, reining it in and so on. And but all dragons, it's the only mythical animal in the sign. The snakes and dragons are kind of kissing cousins. They're both seen as karmic signs. So if you're born into the year of the dragon, you're born into the year of the snake. There's usually a destiny. There's usually something you're meant to do with your life. There's karmic signs. But the dragon's mythical. So yes, it's helpful if you've got a slightly more moderate element going on with your sign.
Yeah.
Because fire dragons are good heavens. Yeah, we all know who the fire dragons are because they'll tell us. So yes, there is that. But it's been. They say that, and again, in the culture, they say that dragons are lucky.
I hope you all enjoyed the first part of this episode with Phoenix. Be sure to tune in next week when Phoenix and I continue our conversation and we take an even deeper dive into the world of tarot. All right, so let's move on to the final section of our show where I talk about the Witch Weekly events, where you get to know what spiritual or witchy events are happening in and around South Devon and Cornwall. Starting with local covens that are seeking new members. So if you're a solitary witch looking to join a coven, this might be for you. Ros and Booker, one of Cornwall's longest established covens, and they hold meetings in North Cornwall and the Devon-Cornwall border. Applicants are welcome to introduce themselves via email and can visit their website for more information. The Cunning Grove is a witch, occult shop and temple based in Plymouth. They currently hold the Coven of the Sacred Grove. They are a diverse group of witches from different paths that come together to learn and support each other. With their coven, they break the year down into 4 seasons. Season 1 is looking at runes, Ogham, and magical languages. Season 2 looks at magical herbalism. Season 3 is trance work and otherworldly travel and flight. And Season 4 looks at magical charms. The physical coven meets on Tuesday and Thursday nights fortnightly. They also have an online coven with spaces available too.
Everyone is in a group together each week, and sometimes they drop different techniques and teachings from PDFs, slides, and videos. Joining the Coven comes with a range of benefits too. You can get money off the shop and services, and you can also make use of the Coven Library, which is for local members only. To join the physical Coven, it's £30 per person, and if you wanted to join the online Coven, that is £15. If you would like to get in touch, you can message them through their Instagram page or Facebook, and I've also added their email address in the show notes. If you run a Coven or hold a sister circle in Cornwall or South Devon, and you're open to having new members join you, please let me know and I will give you a shout out on the next episode. Witchy and spiritual events. Continuing with the Cunning Grove, their usual Saturday morning Witch and Brew is continuing. It used to be called Witch, Bitch and Brew. However, it's now been shortened to Witch and Brew and has more of a teaching focus. Essentially, it's a social with tea and talk. That's Saturdays at the Cunning Grove from 11 a.m. until the last witch leaves. The Cunning Grove are also holding a Witch and Stitch on Wednesdays. It's a weekly crochet, knitting and a witchcraft session, and both of these are free. The Cabinet of Folklore and Magic down in Falmouth are holding their tarot readings on Saturday mornings. The Inner Light Retreat on Friday, the 20th of February, is going to be a 4-hour space created for anyone who is affected by cancer. The retreat was born from lived experience, echoluminex and body-soul alignment, also known as Ellie and Victoria. For Victoria, it was a space that she desperately needed while she was going through cancer, and for Ellie, it's a space that she felt she was unable to fully offer when she was working as an oncology nurse. Together, they are creating what they both felt was missing. This is a space outside of hospitals, tests, treatments, and expectations. A space to reconnect with yourself, a space to come back to the body and to explore a gentle, holistic approach that can support your healing journey, not replace modern medicine, but walk alongside it. Through different practices and approaches, they invite participants to try, feel, and discover what resonates for them, to move from feeling like only a patient to becoming an active participant in their own recovery, with curiosity, courage, and compassion. This is a space to rest, to feel, to reconnect with your inner light, and to remember that you are more than a diagnosis. You can book your space for yourself or a loved one for only £44, and I have linked Ellie's website in the show notes. If you would also like to have a chat or ask them any questions, I have also got a link to their Instagram page as well. On Friday, the 20th of February at 11 a.m, Olivia Jensen is running a Return to Self workshop. This is a monthly circle to explore your connection to self, soul, and community. Returning to self is a place for you to connect with your deep self, the you beneath responsibilities, to-do lists, tasks, and job titles. The deep self can be understood as the soul. The soul is often expressed through music, creativity, and the many different flavours of what makes us human and divine. Globally, we are experiencing a time of great upheaval, change, and grief. Many of us are incredibly stretched and feel the absence of strong community bonds and culture that is rooted in love, reciprocity, instead of individual pursuits for safety and survival. It is more important than ever that we are resourced, nourished, and feeling whole. To join Olivia, I have linked her information where you can book onto the Return to Self Circle in the show notes. On Saturday, the 21st of February, 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Chasewater Village Hall in Truro, the Willow Tree Psychic Fairs is holding the Mind, Body and Spirit Fair. This will include mediums and card readers. Our lovely white witch, Shell, who was in the episode The Eclectic Energy Witch, will be there doing readings. There will also be spiritual gifts, ribbon and numerology readings, Reiki healers, well-being practitioners, crystals, jewellery, pampering, teas and coffees, and much more. It's free parking and free entry, and I have linked the details in the show notes. Also on this Saturday, the 21st of February, Wild Tribe Events are holding their Pagan and Spiritual Fair in Plymouth. You can expect a full hall of readers and healers, makers and sellers of witchcraft and spiritual tool. The entry is free, and I'd like to remind everyone that cash is queen. They all have a vested interest in ensuring that cash remains the currency. Cards are accepted, but cash is preferred, and I have gone and linked their details in the show notes. And last, but certainly not least, on Saturday, the 28th of February, at Bude and North Cornwall Golf Club, tarot reader Emma Jane Saunders, who also goes under the name of Dragon Goddess Healings, will be holding tarot card readings from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. for 30 minutes at £20. A percentage of the proceeds will be donated to AdSurf, which is for Adaptive Inclusive Surfing. And I will be advertising this event again on next Thursday's show. And as usual, I have put the details for this in the show notes for you. If you have a witchy or a spiritual event coming up in South Devon or Cornwall and you would like me to give your event a shout out on the podcast, then please contact me. You can email me at thecornishwitchpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at The Cornish Witch Podcast. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. That is everything I have for you for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Cornish Witch Podcast. This podcast is an independent personal project created outside of my professional life. It exists as a space for conversation with witches, spiritual practitioners, and those walking their own paths, sharing lived practice, ritual, experience, and folklore often rooted here in Cornwall and the land itself. If you value these conversations and would like to support the continuation of the podcast, there is a voluntary link in the show notes. Listening will always remain free and there is no expectation to contribute. Whether you support here, listen quietly, or carry these stories onward by sharing them with others, thank you. Your presence honours the craft and keeps these tellings alive. May these stories find you when they are meant to. And until next time, may the path rise to meet you.